mile from where the cavalry fell at that lone tree. Well, let's back up a little bit, because I told you what happened. Back at the fort at 12 noon, while all of this is happening, because remember, what time were they at the top of the ridge? 11:45. Well, about 12 noon, soldiers that were guarding the gates of Fort Phil Kearny are hearing what? Gunshots from beyond Lodge Trail Ridge. Now, they first heard what they said was sporadic firing. What is that? Bop, 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 bop. But then they said they heard like what they thought was 2 cannon shots. Now, they had no cannons. That's exactly right. And what that ended up being was 2 volleys in which the infantry were ordered by Fetterman to fire at the same time, reload and fire at the same time. So, at 12 noon, soldiers at the gates of Fort Phil Kearny heard firing from beyond Lodge Trail Ridge. And at first they heard sporadic firing, but then they heard 2 loud blasts that sounded like cannon fire. And since there were no cannons in the fight, it was later discovered that the loud blasts were 2 separate volley fires from the infantry in an attempt to slow down the charging warriors. 81, although there were about 49 infantrymen against 2,000. I mean, think about it. It was just brutal. I'm sure, I just can't even imagine. Okay? Now, why did the volleys happen at 2 different times? You're good at this. Why did they have? Why was it just 1 volley? Why did it happen 2 different times? What's that?
Just to think that they were stopping.
No, good guess. The first bunch fired while the other bunch loaded, and then they fired.
That's smart.
Yeah. Okay, but it didn't do much good. It wasn't smart, but not much good. Well, after the second firing or volley fire, the day went silent. That was the end of it. No more shots were heard. Well, what did these guards at the gates of Fort Phil Kearny do when they heard the firing?
Lock the gates.
Well, they were already locked.
You guys go check it out?
No. Who'd they go tell? Henry Carrington. So they report this to Henry Carrington. Carrington then orders Captain Tenador Tenike to take 76 men to move to Fetterman's relief. Okay? So after being notified of the firing, Colonel Carrington orders Captain Tenador Tenike to take 76 men and move out to Fetterman's relief, to try to save him, so to speak. Because they don't know what's going on, do they? They just hear firing. So they're thinking, oh, they got themselves engaged in these woodcutters problem with the Indians, and now they're going to, they think they might have a shot here, okay? Well, at 12:45 p.m., Captain Tenike and his 76 men reach where? The top of Lodge Trail Ridge. At 12:45 p.m., Captain Tenike and his 76 men reach the summit of Lodge Trail Ridge. And what do they see? They see thousands of Indians shooting military guns, whooping it up like you won the World Series. I mean, they are whooping it up. They're over there and they're looking, all they see is the whole valley full of Indians celebrating something. Well, the Indians get done celebrating, and they shout at Captain Tenike and his men, "Come on over." Same type of thing, come on over. And for several minutes, Captain Tenike scans this floor, this valley, and he saw no sign of any of Fetterman's men as these Indians are trying to bait him over Lodge Trail Ridge. He stands up there and he glasses for several minutes. He doesn't see a soldier. Why? What?
They probably just
No? No? Why couldn't they see them?
There's so many.
There were so many Indians. When the Indians dispersed and left, Then they saw the bodies. There were so many Indians in that valley, tonight couldn't even see the soldiers on the ground dead. That's how many Indians were in that valley. Isn't that crazy? So for several minutes, Captain Tonight scans the valley floor and sees no sign of Fetterman's command. Finally, when the Indians withdrew from the valley, Captain Tonight and his command could see dead soldiers everywhere on the valley floor. Historians estimate that this battle lasted less than 45 minutes. No survivors. Not a one. No survivors. If you go to the Fetterman Massacre Monument there, Native Americans are still proud of their heritage, and it tells the story, and it says there were no survivors. They have painted the N-O in red. If you go there, it'll be painted in N-O, or in red, to emphasize the fact there were none. 45-minute fight, no white survivors. Well, what Captain Tonight did then is he just kept his position on the high ground at Lodge Trail Ridge, waiting until the Indian forces, he witnessed them leave. They didn't go in the ravines and hide out. He waited very cautiously until he was 100% certain they were gone for good. And then he cautiously advanced toward the battlefield, witnessing dead men laying naked and mutilated, blood frozen in their wounds. Because it was December 21st. So he cautiously advances with the 76 men, and he witnesses dead men everywhere, naked and mutilated most beyond recognition, blood frozen in their wounds. They also witnessed eyeballs that were cut out of the soldiers' heads and placed on rocks as they departed. Many of the rocks had eyeballs on top of them that were taken out of the soldiers. Afterlife, those soldiers would not be able to see. That was the idea behind it. If you picture this in your mind, Lieutenant Grumman's cavalry were spread out over a skirmish line. They were in pretty much a straight line dead because they were lined up and fighting in a straight line. Captain Fetterman's infantry lay in a circle about 40 feet in diameter.
Fighting from all directions.
Yeah, they packed in and packed in and packed in, shooting in all directions, and they were all in a circle about 40 feet in diameter. Okay, because they were getting attacked from all sides. Grumman actually had turned and got a skirmish line, which was common in those days, and his men lay dead in pretty much a straight line. Not Fetterman's. They were all inside a 40-foot circle. Now this is pretty interesting statistics. We don't know this for sure, but we're pretty close. Historians estimate that probably 40,000 arrows were shot in that 45-minute battle. 40,000 arrows. You had 81 men there. That's quite a few per guy, right? Wheatley and Fisher might have been an example of that. So historians have estimated that possibly 40,000 arrows were shot in that 45-minute battle. About 1,000 a minute. Imagine that? Now, they also did have guns. It was later discovered. About 38 different kinds. How they know that? Cartridges. Because they knew what the Army had, and they knew what Wheatley and Fisher had. So anything that didn't match the Army or Fisher was there. 38 different cartridges were found. So it was estimated later that they probably had access to at least 38 different guns. Until the Battle of the Little Bighorn, this will stand as the worst defeat in American history for the United States military on the Great Plains. Until the Battle of the Little Bighorn, the Fetterman Massacre will stand as the worst defeat for the United States Army on the Great Plains. Tomorrow, I will tell you what Tenador Tenite does once he gets down into the valley, and how they recover the bodies of all 81 men and what they do with them after. So that's what we'll do tomorrow in this short period, okay? No, we'll tell you tomorrow. We'll make it a secret. But I do